Hi everybody, it's Tumi. I have my drink of choice. For me, it's water. And if you want to have your own drink of choice and add a little something something, that's cool because it's 5 o'clock somewhere. And then also the whole after the 40% Nigerian thing, the whole oh, I felt a sharp cramp and dropped to the floor. That was a scene in the movie Steel Magnolias where the girl had cancer or something to that effect or kidney failure or whatever. And then the whole thing about burying the remains under a tree in the movie The Help, the girl had multiple miscarriages and buried she had a rose garden and would bury the children in the garden and basically plant roses on top of the tree of the so it's just one of those things where it's like, and even people have said who know about plants and stuff said that in California they don't even have those trees that were mentioned in the book. So like, and also, because I was a fan, when she went to the dentist, she actually went to the dentist and her the blog Megan's Mirror, who chronicles everything that she wears, posted the photo of her in this. She's wearing like a white beige dress with a hat and big sunglasses coming out of like a medical facility, but it was
Yeah.
literally a dentist, and she has a dentist bag with a baggie. So this whole thing of like we took the baby and we buried it under the tree, like where where did that happen? Like where like, and of course there are people who can fly under the radar, right? There are people who can go under the radar, but like I don't think I'm sorry, like because these people are the boy and girl who cry wolf all the time, like unfortunately I don't believe anything that they're saying. And I have personally heard certain allegations that like if they were true they would basically like vindicate Meghan in a lot of ways about certain things that have happened in her past, but because she's just a pathological liar, like I wouldn't believe her unless she somehow had some proof. If she had to provide medical records, I would believe her. But then it's just one of those things where it's like, again, you lie, you lie, and then you lie, and then when you do tell the truth, people are like, "Oh, please, come on, like, you're no one is a liar." So yeah, and even the whole there was a woman who wrote a I think a book about miscarriage, about how she said that as she was holding her second child, she was saying goodbye to her third or something to that effect. And then her whole, oh, when I was clutching my firstborn, I knew I was losing my second. So I don't think it's possible to plagiarize or to sound so closely to something. I just think she reads things and just, I'm sorry. That's just what I believe. Yeah.
Don't be sorry.
Yeah.
I agree. I
Yeah.
mean, the other thing I think which a lot of people didn't pick up on was if you're going to bury, why on earth would you think to bury a fetus? I mean, let's just even
Mhm.
look at how awful that is, really, to kind of even mention that so flippantly because we know it's, well, we can pretty much believe that that didn't happen. But there's animals. So you're telling me that you would bury your this fetus that's supposed to be your child somewhere where there are wild animals that could dig it up because you're not going to be burying it
Mhm.
deep enough,
And he was digging with his hands in the
right?
rain, something crazy like that. Yeah.
Why would you not even consider? Because I think anyone would that could then be dug up. I mean, it's just unbelievable. They're so fantastical, these stories that they come out with, and I do believe that it's almost because the media, either there is an injunction on embargo, whatever it is, but because they get away with these stories, they're getting more creative with them because it's, because they've got away
Mhm.
with it. I mean, if they're literally sitting
Mhm.
there going, well, we got away with literally lying about having a child, then what else can we get away with?
Yeah. Even the whole like, oh, when the child was being born, the umbilical cord was wrapped around his head. I don't know which child they said it was, that maybe Archie. And Harry was saying, push, push, push. Like, you're not the doctor. And then the whole, oh, the doctor gave her a hand mirror. I'm sorry. Like, do you mean to tell me? Because I know that this is gonna sound so strange. Like, when you're giving birth, some people number two because of the pressure or
I
whatever.
did.
Like,
I did.
okay, So like if you were severely constipated, because again, I've never been pregnant. So if you were severely constipated and you went to poo, would you take a mirror and look down there and be like, oh, let's see how, so like, do you really think that, and it's, it's actually very crazy. There was a skit, some British skit from a comedy show. I don't know what era it is. It looks like it's from the 80s probably, where a woman is giving birth and they give her a hand mirror and the guy has oxygen. He's taking oxygen. He's putting on the laughing gas and it's like a skit and like people in the hallway are hearing her scream from the hallway or whatever. And like, did they watch that and just put it in the book? Because that's literally the exact, I'm using laughing gas and we ran out and the nurses thought, ah, that's so funny. Like, but my question is, okay, like you said, she's the woman from Suits. You knew her before Suits. I did not know who she was before the engagement interview. And she seemed to be a normal person. So what is it about being a somewhat normal person that would then turn you into this person who's so okay with lying that you literally take things, because from what I know, before Harry, she was not taking things that she read somewhere and making it into her life. You know what I mean? Like if she went to Iceland, she did go to Iceland. If she went to Mexico, she actually did go to Mexico. If she went to Paris, she actually did go to Paris and post about it or whatever. Like she didn't seem like a horrible person when she was in her TIG days. But I guess that's because she wanted everyone to like her. I don't know, but like, what is there any amount of money that could actually convince you to take things that you, and even the Korean spa thing? Here we go. There's so many things that like, is there anything that could ever convince you or anybody or even me to just say, you know what, we're just gonna take from media. We're just gonna take from media and then say it happened to us. Like, is there anything that could convince you, a fairly normal person, to do something like that?
No, no, not ever.
Yeah,
Because I
yeah.
think I think it is about our moral compass, and I
Mm-hmm.
generally don't believe that Meghan has one. And if you
Mm-hmm.
look at like now the things that have come out to do with her family, I think it's always been there. Like if you look at even some of her earlier videos when she was a child, that kind of spoiled sort of diva type behavior has always been there. But I think what's happened is as she's got older and as she's developed and started to learn what she can get away with. I mean, look at the way that she treated Trevor. Look at the way she treated Corey. So
Mm-hmm.
there's always been signs of the narcissism that's been there. And I think a lot of that was down to, unfortunately, her father spoiling her, giving her zero consequences for any of her behavior. And
Mm-hmm.
then, unfortunately, a mother that seemed quite absent for a huge chunk of her early years. Because in
Mm-hmm.
child development, it's usually between the ages of 0 to 7, then it's 7 to 13, I believe, and then 13 to 21. They're the pinnacle phases of a child development. And if a huge chunk of that in the beginning, where her mother was absent, and then you've got a father who's literally spoiling her, giving her everything that she wants, not really telling her no. If she acts up, making it better by spoiling her again, etc. It's not a far stretch to see how this has developed within her. But the unfortunate thing now is with someone like Meghan is she's got an element of power because she's hiding behind being part of the royal family. So she's always hid
Mm-hmm.
behind something, like she's hid behind the TIG. If you
Mm-hmm.
look at some of the things that she said in her TIG, like you pointed out, they were lies. They were lies. So she
Mm-hmm.
was kind of doing it, but on a smaller scale. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
now she's got the eyes of the world on her now. So
Mm-hmm.
she's now doing the same type of thing, but on a bigger scale.
And it's funny because with what you said about the TIG, I don't know if you noticed that when in the TIG, when they were, I mean, sorry, on Netflix, when they were talking about William and Catherine coming over and how Meghan was like hugging them, and hugging is kind of jarring if you're a Brit. And I was like, I'm a hugger, and they were just so uncomfortable. The picture that they showed of when William and Catherine came over was Meghan in the kitchen making fish taco, making cutting open a fish or whatever, wearing a tank top. But that picture is from the TIG
Yes.
from 2014, and she's wearing a Toronto Blue Jays hat. And she wrote a whole article about Cinco de Mayo and about how to make fish tacos for Cinco de Mayo and margaritas or whatever. And so it's that again, that level of deception where like you want us to believe that in what 2017 that like, because you can also tell when a photo was taken from the filters and the way it was taken, and like we have iPhones always, there's a new iPhone every like 2 years, right? So you want us to believe that like why is it the fact is that you don't have a picture from when William and Catherine came over. You just don't. So you would supply Netflix with some random photo, and because you think that, oh, because your Instagram got deleted, that we don't have access to those things, when people, there's Wayback Machine where people literally archived your whole Instagram feed, from 2012 until
Yeah.
2016, 2017. So it's just one of those things where it's like, and even when with Corey, when she went to Iceland, there was a New Year's Eve party where they were on a rooftop, and she posted on the tag, oh, Happy New Year 2016. I'm looking so forward to meeting you. But she posted just a selfie with her in a champagne glass on a rooftop with the fireworks behind her. Cute photo. But on Corey's Instagram, you see that it was a whole rooftop party, and he panned the camera over, and like you can't see her in the video or whatever, but like he was there with her at
Mm.
a friend's wedding. You can see photos of them sitting together at the table at the wedding reception because they all dressed up like Vikings. It was like a whole thing. Like you can find, if you go to the woman's Instagram page and scroll all the way down to 2016, you can see all those photos, and you see her right there next to Corey. So like I just don't think that you would be like, oh, there's this guy and he's like my friend. Can I bring him to a wedding, to a plus one, as a plus one to a wedding in another country, in Iceland for days? Like I
Mm.
wouldn't bring one of my guy friends to a wedding in Bali. You know what I mean? Like it's just odd. I would just go by myself and meet guys there or whatever. Like it's just again that deception, and it's just crazy because again she can't talk about her own like her saying, I was never treated like a black woman until I got to the UK. But then she talked about how she was she said that she was growing up, that she was too black for the white kids and too white for the black kids, but her high school photos, middle school photos show a different story because she's sitting there with Asians and Hispanics, and they're all the same color, basically the same shade of beige. And there's one actual black person in the photo or whatever, but like that's a lie. Oh, I was the nerdy one. I was the nerdy one. I was the smart one. That's a lie. You were a prom queen. That
Yeah.
is a lie. That is just simply not true. You could be nerdy, yeah, but don't say, oh, I was never the pretty one. That's not true. That is not true. That's
Yeah.
just literally not true. Meghan was never ugly. Like she was never, I don't think she was ever ugly, but that when you see her high school photos, she was a prom queen. And she was, her hair was straightened. She had a beautiful dress on, had makeup done, had a date. She was not ugly.
Mm.
And her boyfriend in high school bought her a license plate that said classy girl. So how was she getting boyfriends and going to prom and all these dances if she was some ugly duckling that was just in the corner like reading books and playing Wordle and Scrabble? Like please, like stop, so
I know she does the version of like nobody puts baby in the corner type thing. It's like she did an interview with, I think it was Lizzie Cundy, when she actually came over here, Suits, and she talks about how amazing the UK is and how everyone's lovely. And I've never been called darling so many times. It's like, well, hang on a minute, but suddenly now we're all racist. It's like, so make that make
yeah.
sense.
Yeah. And she's like, yeah, the people are so warm, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's so cold, but the people are so warm, and I've never been called love or darling anymore in my life. It makes me want to stick around for a while. And then she was asking to be hooked up with a rich British man. And I always have to say this, that I have no issue, because that's womanhood, right? Women from time immemorial have always moved upward through marriage. That's not a bad thing. I don't have any, I would marry a rich French man tomorrow. I don't care. That's not a bad, I don't care. Like that's cool. Like of course, if you have kids, the kids need provision, And so it's just like it's one of those things that I have no issue marrying a man of wealth and status. But don't act like you were just at Whole Foods and you bumped carts and the stars aligned. And if that's not how it happened, that's not how it happened. And again, we met through a blind date. We got hooked up by a friend, then we met on Instagram. What's next? There's gonna be another season of Harry and Meghan Part 2 where they say, oh, actually, we met cliff diving somewhere. Like it's just there's just too many variations of like a disease. All the variations, the COVID variations. There's too many variations of the story. We don't know what to think or what to believe. So and then this whole thing, if we were never allowed to tell our story, and then when she came with archetypes, she's like, yeah, now you're gonna get to know the real me. When have we not known? You had your own blog, you had your own Instagram page. You were literally okay, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. For 4 years you were quiet, right? Not even quiet. For 4 years you were not making your own posts allegedly, right? Or because, oh, it wasn't us, it was the comms team. We couldn't even post on our own Instagram. Okay, for 4 years, it's like someone saying, I'm taking a break from social media, and you go to college. And then after college, you're like, oh, I'm done. I'm back on social media. You were not silenced. Nobody doesn't know the real you. You were there. She was in front of us. She wasn't like in a monastery. It's not like she became a nun and was just a nun and we never saw her or heard about her and she faded off into oblivion and then came back and was like, hi, I'm starting a podcast.
She acts as if she was literally trapped in the tower. It's
Rapunzel.
what people seem to forget is it was her choice. It was her choice to marry Harry. There was like 2 years prior to the wedding where she could have gone, you know what, actually it's not for me, so
Mm-hmm.
thanks, bye. But she didn't. She was like, no, yeah, loving this. I'm marrying a prince. And then suddenly
Mm-hmm.
it's like, oh no, I have my passport taken, my phone taken. It's like, yeah, but you traveled more than what people who have a passport travel, like
Yeah,
15 times in the space of a year or something.
exactly. Oh, they took my keys. What, like, I never saw Meghan behind the wheel of a car until she went back to Canada. That's
Mm.
the first time I ever saw her drive, other than being in a commercial. But like, stop, stop it. Like, get some help. Just
Yeah,
stop it.
see a therapist. I know
It's,
one.
yeah, it's just one of those things where it's just like I have been trying to figure out since 2020 what their end game is, and I know that okay, I'm not a person who likes anybody to fail, right? So if it was me, right, if it was me, if we just said, oh, the royal thing is not for us, we're gonna move to California for privacy, right? I would have just moved to California, bought a house that was not some Olive Garden, Spanish villa, weird looking. The house is not attractive. I just don't think the house is an attract. It's an ugly house. Like the house is truly giving like 2006, in my opinion. It's not giving 2024. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't like anything about the house. I just think it's just not. I don't think she would even live there. Like if she was by herself and rich, she would not live in a house that looks like that. I see her as more of a modern home woman. You know what I mean? And because all her furniture in Canada was contemporary, it was not like
Mhm.
this weird look. I don't know. It's ugly. The house is ugly. But I would just move to California, get a house that's more within our means. There's literally only three of you and the dogs and Doria. You don't need a 16-bedroom house. You don't. Nobody needs a 16-bedroom house unless you're freaking a king with like 12 children, okay? But you're not. So you don't need a 16-bedroom house. Scale down, get a house within your means that maybe like how much was the house? I don't even know how much the house was.
It was
But like
like
let's say
14 million or something
yeah,
like
no, you
that.
could get something that's more like 7 mil, eight, even five, even three. I've seen nice houses for like three. All
Yeah.
right. Get a house that's smaller. You could do a 6 bedroom house, 5 bedroom house. That's great. That's perfect. That's good. There's only two of you, three of you, and the dogs. Okay. The Oprah interview should have never happened. It should have never happened. And Meghan talking about how, oh yeah, you wanted to interview me, but the timing wasn't right. If it was me, I would have given the Oprah interview while I was in the royal family when I was a newlywed bride, and just talked about how happy I am, how I love being part of this family, how this is so historical and life changing, and I'm so grateful to Her Majesty the Queen and everybody else who's shown me the ropes. But again, I'm not a narcissist who's trying to play a character. So this is just how I would have done. The Oprah interview would have never happened in America, on American soil. I would never have complained about my family. I would have just said, "Oh, was this a lot?" And my husband and I just wanted to just kind of take a break from that and whatever. But we want to still do acts of service in America, but just not in the same royal capacity. Um, I would have brokered a deal that if I had children, right, I would have taken, those exclusive photo shoots with People Magazine or whatever that celebrities do,
Yeah.
or like somehow finesse because Anna Wintour liked Meghan at one point. I would have finessed with Anna Wintour to get on the cover of Vogue with my husband and my children and have one of those like motherly photo shoot spreads and talk about our new life in California. And I would have just been more of a do deals under the table sort of thing. And like with, for example, the Netflix, I would not have done a I'm gonna complain about everything show. I would have been like, oh well, I want to do acts of service here. There's a lot of people in America who need help, and like I'm still the Duchess by title, but I'm just me, right? And I'm just gonna like go around and do charitable works and go visit charities in America and bring attention to those and do donations and hold charity galas or whatever the case may be. Because America does like the glitz and glam of royalty and stuff like that, but we
Sure.
also like respect. You know what I'm saying? And so Harry talking about the First Amendment, the second, yeah, the First Amendment is bonkers. Shut up. Whatever amendment it was that we have free speech, shut up. This is our country. If you don't like it, you can leave. You can go back. Go back. Go somewhere else. Don't come here and start insulting everything we do. Get out. Just leave. So there's that. I would have literally just not complained about anything. With the podcast, I would have not had celebrities on the podcast. I would have had real people who are doing real things in society on the podcast, right?
And
Of
wasn't that what
different.
they presented it as when they very first spoke about it? Wasn't it going to be about real people, real situations? Wasn't that? I'm
But
sure that
even
was how they presented it.
But on the Archwell Audio Christmas special, they had Tyler Perry, Elton John, and they're like, "How are you getting through COVID? Like, why are you asking a millionaire or a billionaire how he's getting through
Yeah.
COVID? Like, life has not changed." So, I would have, if I had children, shown my kids. I would have been doing my little pep walks and going around to the playground and hanging out with other people, celebrities, and whatever my little celebrity friends. I would actually be out and about. Like for a person who is so she was always outside before Harry. Like now she's not outside as much, even though she does those weird pap walks and does the Invictus weird things. Like she doesn't go outside. Like I
Mm.
think it's weird. Like she's never outside. Except for when she wants to upstage someone, she's outside, but she just looks weird walking around in the parking lot looking just frazzled and just looking so tense and awkward. Like I just be outside hanging out with my friends. Like I just be outside. And I would get a tailor and the hairstylist and the makeup artist who knows how to do their job well and make me look. And I would dress for my height because I'm 5'2", like I'm short. So like I would dress for my height and my body type and all that kind of stuff. And I just would not be a pathological liar, but that is just me. So that's how I would have done it. And yeah, it's just exasperating. And I just feel like the longer that they one hide the children, it makes us suspicious. And we just every time we look at the kids, we're like, those aren't the kids. Because we're just like, we haven't seen them. And the thing is about it is even when President Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama came to England, little George was there and shook hands with him and was wearing his little robe. Like we have literally seen those kids grow up. So with Meghan and Harry, we don't they don't owe us, but we're being robbed of the parasocial relationship of watching a child be a baby and grow into adulthood where you can be like, oh yeah, even though I don't know them, I see them, actively.
Yeah. She would have merged those children. There's no
Exactly.
there's no two which ways about it. She would have
Mm-hmm.
every time we saw uh, the Prince and Princess of Wales coming out with their children, we would have seen photographs of Meghan and Harry coming out with the children.
Yeah,
She,
going out to eat, going wherever.
yeah, because I think a lot of people believe that they're hiding the children for privacy. And it's like people generally don't understand how a narcissist works. A narcissist, especially when they're young children, those children are an extension of themselves. So she would have brought those children out to showcase what a great mother she is. And she would have done
Exactly.
it to upstage the real royal children. She would have done
Mm-hmm.
that in every chance she possibly could. We would have had a clothing line. We would have had multiple photo shoots. We would have had food.
Mm-hmm.
She would have been taught, like you said, talking about her pregnancy bump and morning
Mm-hmm.
sickness and stretch
Mm-hmm. And
marks,
stretch marks, yeah.
what food I ate and what how the birth was, etc.
Mm-hmm. And
We've had
pregnancy yoga
nothing,
and yeah.
nothing for either of those two children, and that's why I am of the belief that they don't have access to those two children. And I think because if they did, she would be using them. She would be using
Mm-hmm.
them for monetary means. She would be doing, like I say, photo shoots with them. We would be seeing them out and about because you could blur the faces of the kids, especially in
Mm-hmm.
California, because I think there was a new law put in place, I
Yeah,
believe.
there is, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so you can have the children out and about and blur their faces. But whenever we
Mm-hmm.
have seen the orchestrated pictures, we've
Mm-hmm.
happened to see their face, even though it's distorted. You can't
Mm-hmm.
zoom in. And
Mm-hmm.
perhaps have the best of the best cameras. And yet, funnily enough, every time we see a picture, like when they're the July the 4th parade, those pictures of
Mm-hmm.
those children are so blurry that when you zoom
Mm-hmm.
in, you can't see anything.
Exactly.
It's the lies are just, and of course now the rumors coming out that she's possibly like apparently pregnant with the third, and you're just like, oh, give us a break.
I don't believe that. I don't believe
No,
that.
I
But
don't.
I mean, did you see the vacation photos before they went to Jamaica or around the time they went to the Katy Perry concert in Las Vegas? They allegedly went on vacation with the kids to some private island somewhere, and they were on the golf carts, and
Yeah.
like Harry had the kid on the lap. Like, what do you think about photos like that?
I don't know whose children they're using. I don't
Mm,
know. I mean, obviously, there's been, and this is where I do have to be careful what I say. I do know that there are people they have used in the past, but I don't know who they're using now. But the fact is, again, when you're supposedly paps and you're papping these children, why is it that we don't see them clearly? You know,
mm,
they're click, 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 click. So you can't tell me in all
yeah.
of that, you know, from A to B, wherever they're
Mm,
moving from, at no point did we actually get a clear picture of those children. So again, I believe it's orchestrated because if you
mm,
notice, they seem to do it when there's a lot of rumors that get heightened about the children, we're not seeing the children or something, all of a
mm.
sudden we'll get a picture of the children. But do you not find it funny how since we've had the picture with Catherine and that picture that came out that everyone
The Monday Day photo.
scrutinized,
Yeah,
we've not seen one picture of the children of the Sussex children since then, not one.
yeah. Yeah.
That's
I and I know because I know people are gonna watch this and think we're crazy. And I know it sounds crazy. Of course it sounds crazy. Nobody wants to think that somebody's faking having children. Nobody wants to think that. Everyone wants to think that if I said I gave birth and there's a baby crying in the background. You know what I'm saying? But because these people have lied so freaking much about everything, everything under the sun, like even when you ask, oh, so how are the kids? Oh, our little ones are little. What? What? Like literally what? Like my mom has a story about how my brother somehow figured out how to turn on the radio as a child and played classical music and would turn up the speakers and she would find him in the room with his hands over his ears because he didn't know how to turn it down even though he figured out how to turn it up as a baby. So like if that is a story that my own mother could tell about my twin brother when he was a baby or a child whatever, like why do we not get and then oh his first word was crocodile, his first word was Grandma Diana. His first word was freaking teleprompter. His first word was electrolytes. Like, what? Like, do people do they keep are they forgetting? Like, are they literally forgetting what they've told us in the past? Like, I don't know.
I feel that they don't know, and I think things like that as well show you that they don't know how a child behaves. They don't know how a little child talks. You know, it's like they might as well just come on and say, "Oh, it's a super whatever the word is, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious."
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
It's
Yeah,
the things that it's not da 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 ma 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 or
yeah,
because they start sounding the phonics. So
yeah.
it's waffle, it's chicken, it's
Waffle maker,
yeah,
fried chicken is
yeah,
freaking Popeye's
crocodile.
chicken. Yeah, and
Grandma
the thing,
Diana,
and
please.
and it's like I don't know how people can go along with this con. Like I don't know if what we're saying is factual, right? How are people going along with the con?
That's the big question, isn't it? I mean, that is the big question. And I
Because do you remember during the Jubilee where I believe it was Megan's one somebody that knew Megan posted a picture of them at the Jubilee and said, "Oh, it was so nice to see Megan again," and the kids were so well behaved, throwing shade at Louis. Like, what baby has not have had a tantrum? I'm sure that even baby Jesus had a tantrum when he was a
right,
baby. Like, so like, what are you talking about?
yeah.
Like, why? Oh, you're saying all that, but we never saw. Do you mean to tell me? You really mean to tell me, like you said, because like you said, when a narcissist has kids, like I don't know if you ever saw the movie Mommy Dearest, but in that movie, how when the because I rewatched it like a month ago, but the woman, the Christina Crawford, she or the mom, what is her name? Joanne Crawford? I can't remember. But the mom in the movie had that big birthday party where she invited all the press and had all the merry-go-round and all of these kids and
Yeah.
oh come on, Christina, we have to take photos. And the kid looked so cute, of course, because the mom had to make sure the kid looked cute. The kid could not be looking raggedy. You know what I mean? Even the point you brought up in some of your videos about the birthday, Archie's birthday with the soiled diaper. Like I personally hate it when babies don't wear clothes. Like when I see a baby in a diaper, I get mad because I'm like, why is the baby not dressed? Why aren't you putting clothes on the baby? The baby's cold or whatever. Like, why is the baby just sitting there in a diaper? It's just so bizarre. Like, I wouldn't go outside just sitting in my underpants. Why is the baby sitting there in just a diaper? Like in public, especially. That's so strange. And I mean every baby. Like put clothes on
Yeah,
the baby.
I agree.
So it's just like, you mean to tell me that, oh, for your birthday, we're going to read this book, and the baby's like trying to escape. Like, literally, the poor child is trying to escape the pap walk in Canada with the swinging
Oh,
arm, like all of those things, all of those things. And we're just like, I'm like, are we crazy? And the weird part is that, right, Harry has multiple nieces and nephews and like little children that he's been around his whole life that for sure he has seen the babies. Like it's not to say that Catherine and William hid the babies until they could talk. Like he was around them, right?
mm,
When they were babies. Like he was literally around them. So like I don't understand how they seem to not know how a child develops when like they've been around children and other people's children. And like I'm confused. I'm just very lost, you know.
yeah.
Like
And they should. And but do you know what I think as well is we didn't. I mean, I don't know about you, but I haven't seen many photographs of Harry with his nieces and nephews. I mean, I saw.
no, I know, but what I mean is like he's around. He was around them.
But
They
yeah,
lived in
you're
the same
right.
place.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
He
neighbors.
would
They're
know.
literally
He,
neighbors.
yeah, he would
Yeah,
know, and he would have had
yeah.
conversations with William and Catherine as to sleepless nights, all the things
Mm-hmm.
that go along with having children.
Mm-hmm.
He would have seen and heard things. But I wonder if a lot of this stuff. I mean, we people have said that Spare. They believe Spare was written a lot by Meghan, like she was the actual
Mm-hmm.
ghostwriter, not the
Yeah,
actual ghostwriter, and that does
not
make
the other guy.
sense. But I
Mm-hmm.
wonder if a lot of the things that have come out are mainly from Meghan, who doesn't seem to have a clue how to be pregnant for a start, because the way she behaved with pregnancy, and I think what she was doing is that she was watching what was being said on social media, which was why we got the weight gain later on. Because what I imagine is she's watching what's being said about her, and people are picking up on the fact that she's not gaining weight. So she suddenly then started to do something towards the end, obviously too late, but I think that she's doing the same thing with regards to the children. I mean, if you only have to look at the photographs to see, like the one with where Lily was supposedly sitting on the grass, that was Frogmore
And you
Cottage,
can't see any legs.
and there's
Yeah,
no
that's just
legs.
weird. Yeah,
What? She would have toppled
and
over. I mean, there's
you know what?
no chance it's
You know
like
what's
that.
you know what's also very odd is that children, when children know you, even like my neighbor has a son, right, and my neighbor's son gives me high fives and all that kind of stuff. When children know you, they cling to you, they want to be around you, they want to touch you, they want to
Yes.
be comfortable, they'll give you, even kids at the park will give you a hug. Why is it that her own children are like not hugging her? Why is it that her own children, like when they were holding Lilybeth to blow out the candles, the kid is literally dangling. There's no sort of like, oh, mommy, like whatever. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
They're
it's
not
like,
they're not
even,
theirs. They're not theirs, and
yeah,
there's no
like,
bond. And I think that again
like,
shows the proof. Yeah, there's
yeah, and
nothing.
like even like I mean I live with my family and like even me being 28, there was a time where I thought I was gonna go blind in the shower because I got a hair product in my eyes, and I literally ran out of the shower with a towel on and told my mom to blow in my eyes, and I'm almost 30. So it's one of those things where it's like no matter how old you are, if you have a relationship with your parents, you know them, you feel for them. If you were like, oh help, like I'm tripping and falling, I wouldn't just trip and fall in front of my dad. He would grab for me and I would grab for him. So it's just weird how your own kids who you change their diapers, you're raising them or whatever, just act like they don't know who you are, in the regard of like they're not like, oh mom, like I'm trying to hold on to you or whatever. Like the kid is trying to jump off your lap.
Yeah,
Like I don't
yeah.
understand it, you
But
know?
there's that. Did you see that video of Harry like trying to kick the ball around, which we're supposed to believe it's Archie, and he goes to, I think he goes to grab Art, or and Archie's kind of like almost pulling away from him and going no no, and sort of running away from him. And I think all of these little snippets are showing that they don't have a bond with these children because, in my opinion, the children that we're seeing are
Mhm.
not theirs. They're
Oh, rented, rented,
they're rented
rented,
children.
rent
Yeah,
type.
whoever they have. I mean, I don't know, but they're not, because there's just absolutely no bond, and there's no natural setting. There's no, like we see with Catherine and William and other people's children, we see them in a normal setting. I mean,
Mhm.
yes, we see them for their events, but we also see
And
them
I
at
mean, we'll see
school.
them go out to eat. Yeah, we'll see them go out to eat and eat. So we'll see them eating burgers somewhere. Even William and Harry with their mother would go to freaking Popeyes, and not Popeyes, KFC,
Yeah,
Burger King, wherever they would go, and we see them outside eating. And it's funny because to this day, British people have never seen Archie in real life.
no,
They've never seen him ever. Even when he was baptized, they didn't see him. We didn't even get a video of them walking into the church to go baptize a child, and
no,
with her pushing the pram. What is that all about?
yeah, and nothing with Lily either. Yeah, the only thing we've seen, which was some of the photographs where they were in, is it South Africa with Desmond Tutu, the duck rabbit. That's the only thing that we have seen that resembles what I would call a real child. And since Megxit, nothing.
Do you remember
Nothing.
the do you remember the Christmas card where they were in the shed, and
Yeah.
it was and and over here we have a place called Chuck E. Cheese that's for kids, that, like, I
Yeah.
don't know if you have one in the UK, but
No,
we
but
have
I
a Chuck
know
E.
it.
Cheese. Yeah. And they have like a photo booth thing, but they have like a filter, a specific Chuck E. Cheese filter that has that same exact effect on the photos.
Really.
And so when I saw it, I'm like, they have a Chuck E. Cheese Christmas card. What is this?
And he had bright
So
orange hair. Bright, and
yeah.
it's like, but since then he's got dark hair. So
Brunette
it's like,
hair.
how has he
Yeah.
gone from flame haired orange hair to suddenly dark hair? It's,
And
yeah,
even the whole, oh, Lily Diana has these big blue eyes and this blonde hair, and now she's a redhead, like,
yeah,
allegedly. And then on Netflix, the kids that she was holding. Remember when she was trying to hold both of them, and both of them were not clinging to her. They were just like,
yeah.
again, just dang.
It's like, yeah. I mean, I think
So
that
what do you think? What do you think we're gonna see once the cooking show comes on, or the American Riviera actually launches a product? What do you think we're gonna see then?
I am reserving judgment on the. I wonder if she's going to get bored of this because it's not taking off. I mean, if you look at the fact that even with the TIG, I think that she had over 1 million subscribers, I believe, or followers on her Instagram,
Mm-hmm,
the TIG,
mm-hmm.
but it's not even hit. I mean, the last time I looked, it was less than 600,000, and so you've got to think that probably half of that maybe are real people. Um, so she's not got the fan base. She's not got anywhere to promote anything. So I have a feeling that she's just put this up in the hope that it is going to establish itself like the TIG. It's not. And so we're just getting this drip feed of jam, dog
Yeah,
biscuits. But I
yeah,
don't
and
think it's
I
going to
mean,
go anywhere.
again, like, you can't do anything when you don't listen to the people around, right? And Megan is not a person who studied marketing or sales or
No,
anything like that, right? She was just an actress and had a blog. But even so, when you have a blog, you still need people. There are people who are bloggers who have a team of people who write articles for them and all this kind of stuff, get contracts and sponsorships and all this stuff. I don't think Gwyneth Paltrow does everything by herself with Goop. Like, no. So if Megan wants American Riviera Orchard to be the next Goop, she actually needs a team of people, and she needs to use this and use these ears to actually fulfill the purpose that God gave them, which is to listen and to understand. So the thing about it is, she pressed the launch button on American Riviera Orchard just because of the Diana Awards. If there was no Diana Awards, she would have never launched it. And once it's out there, she can't delete the page,
right.
right? She's not going to delete the page. So she just put it up there just to take thunder away from her own husband and her own brother-in-law because of just bitterness, right? And you cannot launch with no product. I just used this analogy in a video where I was like, imagine, well, no, actually, I was talking to my sister and I said, imagine if I said I was starting a restaurant, but I did not have a building. I only had the name. And I had like a styrofoam container of an idea of an appetizer of mac and cheese. And I was like, yeah, this is my idea. I have a restaurant. But then I already put it out there that I'm building a restaurant. Everybody come to my restaurant. And I hired influencers to promote my restaurant. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's probably going to be built in like the next 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's exactly what she's doing. Like putting the cart before the horse, thinking that because the Meghan Markle name is not what it was in 2017,
Mm.
2018, 2016 when she was dating Harry. Like it's just not what it was. And she doesn't get that. Like even Jennifer Lopez said in her documentary, sometimes I forget how much time has passed. Like she thinks she's still in her 20s sometimes in the 2000s, but she's 50 something now. And there's a whole new group of artists who are doing their thing. So it's one of those things where it's like, again, if she wants ARO to be successful, she needs a group like team. And again, they said that she had tried to copy Flamingo Estates or whatever and wanted to collaborate with them, but they were not interested. So now she's why would you possibly think selling random ass jam, sending random ass jam to influencers, not even influencers, her own friends, would make people want to buy that?
I honestly think the jam was just because that's something that the King Charles makes. I think that she tried to capitalize on something that the royal family do as a almost like an FU basically to the royal
And
family.
it's so stupid. It's so
It
stupid.
is because she thinks that she's more marketable than what she is. I think she truly believes that she's going to promote this jam and people are going to rush out and there's going to be a demand for her ridiculous jam. And like I said, it wouldn't be so bad if it was some weird and wonderful flavors which people didn't really know of. You sort of think, oh, okay, that's niche there, okay. But strawberry and raspberry, which everyone will buy and can buy for a
Yeah.
lot cheaper than what I'd imagine if she had actually sold hers. But she's giving them away. But there's no marketing. There's no this is how I've made my jam. This is the ingredients. It's literally like, here's my jam. I picked these strawberries and raspberries from my own garden. Yeah, okay. And da-da, there you go. And it's like, but people want to know more than that. You're not doing anything to create people to um invest in what you're selling, and the
Mm-hmm.
problem you have is that she's not likable. So if you're not likable and you are the face of the brand, really,
Mm-hmm.
if you're not likable, then people are not going to want to buy your product. And so,
No.
and she's a narcissist, so she's not going to listen to anyone that's saying to her, right, this is what you've got to do, this is the best way to do it, because she thinks she knows
Mm-hmm.
better. And that
Exactly.
there lies her problem, and that's why she's not succeeding in anything, because she won't listen
Mm-hmm.
to people that have been in the business for years and know what they're talking
Exactly.
about.
Exactly. And it's just to her own detriment. It's just taking money and sinking it into something that's failing. And
Yeah.
okay, of course, the Sussex squad will jump on. You can send 5 bottles of jam out there to your friends, but can you handle manufacturing? Let's say her Sussex squad wants to buy 10,000 units of jam. Can she handle the manufacturing? You know what I mean? Like, does she
Yeah,
actually have a factory where this is being manufactured or what? Like, what?
I
And
don't even believe that. I think that
and
she's bought this from somewhere and just relabeled it. I think that's really
yeah.
what she's done.
When I think of Meghan Markle, I don't think of jam. I just don't. If she said she was starting a clothing line or a hair extension line or a makeup line, that's way more up her alley. Or like a handbag line, some shoes. She likes shoes, right? Like something that actually makes sense. Because when she was a Miss, I'm a foodie, whatever. I mean, the Sussex Squad got some old photo from like 2014 where she was on her Instagram with blueberries and some fruits inside of a jar thing or like a container thing that she had, taking a selfie. And they're like, oh, the Duchess of Sussex is in her element making jam. This picture is like over 5 years old. This is an old photo. Can't you tell this is an old ass photo? She did not take this yesterday. Stop it.
But
So
that's but
yeah.
that's it, isn't it? And the one thing that I say to the cult squad whenever I sort of interact with them, which occasionally I find them amusing, and I say to them, if you feel the need to lie for anything that Meghan Markle does, that
Mhm.
clearly shows that you know the truth because you're having
Yeah.
to lie. So
Yeah.
if you believed in everything that she was saying or doing, you'd be okay with whatever we were saying, because you'd be like, well, we know the truth. It doesn't matter what
Mhm.
you say. But the fact
Mhm.
is, you're having to create like the Photoshop pictures I've seen of children. Oh, here,
The AI
this
photos,
is
yeah.
yeah, and like you say, the grabbing pictures from her TIG from years ago and bringing them up as,
Mhm.
oh, this is what's happening now. If you're
Mhm.
feeling the need to do that, that is showing you that deep down you know the truth, and
Mhm.
you're just not admitting it. And that is why she won't ever succeed, because unfortunately her fan base are are actually, I think, hurting her just as much as what she does herself. You know,
Mhm.
she'd be better off with loyal fans who are decent people that are kind of calling her out and saying, right, okay, this is what you know, this would make this better. And she listens
Mhm.
to the people, but she doesn't. And that's
No.
what she won't work. It won't work. Whatever she
Yeah.
does, it hasn't worked till now. And let's be honest, she's in her mid to late 40s. So
I mean, I will say that there are people who do invent themselves later in life, like Vera
yeah,
Wang, but still, it's just the personality. You know what I mean? It's the personality and the ability to listen. And it's, my sister said the other day to me that no one is an island. You need to be able to listen. And if I met a person who was a YouTuber who had 100,000 subscribers and they made videos that I would like to make, and I asked them, hey, how do you edit? How do you do this? How do you do that? And they gave me a bunch of advice, and I'm like, well, that's stupid. I'm gonna do it my own way. That's obviously
right.
not working for me. You know what I mean? So if I
Yeah,
want to be where they're at, then I would actually listen and apply that to my own life. So,
yeah.
but if you don't know how to listen, if you don't take anyone's advice, if you think it's my idea or the highway, and you say everything I have is a good idea, then good luck.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I mean, is the fact that if she's not found something by now because of who she is, I'm having a hot flush. I can literally see myself going as I'm talking to you. It's starting to glisten more and more. Oh my God. So yeah, I mean, if she hasn't got it by now, um, because of the fact that she's had multiple talent agent, or is it management agencies, multiple people working for her that have left. If you haven't worked it out by now that you are the problem, that you're the one that's not listening, you're the one that isn't taking advice from people, and it's the way you are is why you're not succeeding, then nothing will, because
Exactly.
if it hasn't clicked by now for her, then I don't believe it ever will, to be
Hmm.
honest. And I think that what
Hmm.
she'll be doing now, I'm so sorry,
It's okay.
I think what she'll be doing now is I think she'll be attempting to find some kind of billionaire, some older guy who has got deep pockets that can take
Hmm.
her to whatever her next level is. I think that's what's going to happen.
Like you just said, it's her
It
character,
is
it's her
her.
personality. And the thing is, even if she had, and which I'm sure she does, she's not okay, like how she was signed to WME, William Morris Endeavor, whatever it's
Yeah.
called. I don't know her personally, but I know of an influencer who is signed to that same label. And um she has been at like F1, the F1 races, doing, a brand deal. She's gotten brand partnerships with luxury brands, and she's a girl who's in her 20s. And I'm not going to name her, but people have said that she has a questionable reputation or attitude, or she has some sort of attitude online. She has a lot of online haters who talk about her and all that kind of stuff, or online critics. But when it comes to business, she knows how to listen. She knows how to just play the game, walk the walk. And she has a clothing brand. She's launching a home goods line. She has the brand partnership. She's doing something coming up with Wimbledon and all that kind of stuff. So like if she can listen, Meghan can listen too, but she doesn't want to, as far as I know, because they're signed to the same talent agency. She just wants, oh well, I like how when she wrote The Bench, she hired an artist who did not do watercolor, because for whatever reason, I myself am an artist. I'm a 2D animator and digital artist. People think we're good at everything. I'm not a painter. I'm not a classically trained painter. You cannot hire me to paint a portrait for you and say, why doesn't it look like it belongs in the Palace
Right.
of Versailles? Because I'm not a classically trained painter. Do not hire me for that job. I'm not an interior designer. I don't do claymation. I don't do 3D animation. I don't do that stuff, right? I don't do watercolor painting. I don't do pastel art. I don't do those things. Maybe as a hobby, but I don't do them. You should not commission me to do those things. So she hired someone who that was not their forte, and then forced them into doing something that was not what they were classically trained or whatever their proficiency. And it was like, why would you do that? Literally, why would you do that? I would not take a chef who's a French pastry chef and be like, you need to cook me sushi. They don't know how to do that. That's not their thing. Like,
Yeah.
what is the problem?
Yeah.
So,
And I
but
think this bossy attitude that she seems to have, this bullying attitude, which is why that's come out before. And I think why people keep leaving her,
Hmm.
there's a lot to be said when you have loyalty, when people are loyal to you because they like you, a bit like what we've
Hmm.
seen with the royal members, the other members of the royal family.
Hmm.
People will stay, and they will stay with you for years. But when you've
Hmm.
got somebody that people are leaving after a year or a couple of years, and it's
6 months.
constantly happening, there's a
Hmm.
problem. There's a problem
Hmm.
there.
And you've even seen it even at the polo match with at Santa Bali, where she's like, "Oh, do you want to just move over here? Do you want to just? Why don't you just move over here?" So imagine what it's like behind closed doors
Right.
when Her Majesty the Queen passed away, and they were doing the whole walkabout thing, and they had the whole flowers. She was carrying like 50 bundles of flowers because, of course, she wanted to be photographed like Uvalde style, laying flowers at the Queen's memorial. But the royal aides were taking all the flowers, and she turned around and snapped. I posted that video on on YouTube, and I got like 900,000 views on the YouTube shorts. But then I had to delete all those shorts that had her in them when my channel got demonetized. But she turned around and snapped at the royal aide and was like, "Oh, I told you I'm gonna hold the flower," something like that. And then
Mm.
she just did this stupid smile that was like, when people snap and they're like, "Oh, I told you that I'm gonna do it." Thank you. Okay, thanks for trying to
Yeah,
help
of
me. Like
course.
that sort of thing going on. So, and anytime you even point those things out, people get mad, people get enraged, people get like, "Oh, you're hating." Like, dude, at this point, it's literally laughable. It's truly laughable to say that anybody hates her. Nobody hates her. People hate her actions. It's the way that she
Yes.
acts. It's literally the way that she acts.
Yeah. I
So,
don't know her personally to hate her personally. I don't like and I dislike immensely how she's behaved towards the royal family, because I
mhm,
really like the royal family, and
mhm,
I think it's the injustice of the fact that her lies, that she sort of gets away with those lies.
exactly.
But I think, again, like you say, this whole hate thing, it's like people don't seem to understand the difference between, actually, this is my opinion and I don't particularly like someone and I'm allowed not to like somebody,
Mhm.
to actually, I'm saying I actually hate this person and I want something bad to happen to them, which I never ever
Mhm.
would say that.
The Sussex squad actually started this whole thing about how Catherine was forced out of the house to go to the Trooping the Color, and William, there's a scar on her face, and you can see it under the makeup. First of all, she used to be an athlete. The Sidley twins made a good video about this, and they said that she actually used to be an athlete and did have she did have, I believe it was a surgery as a child or something. So like you can have scars. I fell down the stairs at my high school when I was a freshman in high school, and I still have the scar on my knee to prove that I fell down the stairs. Like over 10 years later. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's one of the so people have scars. That is the thing. And the thing is, if she was being physically abused, it would be obvious. People would be able to see that kind of stuff. They're like, "Oh, she had a facelift to look like she had a facelift to look younger, whatever." And it's like, dude, not everyone is running around getting veneers and being filled with Botox. People age. I don't look how I did when I was 15, and that's fine. I don't
Right.
want to get Botox. I don't want to get filler. People in their 20s look like some people cannot believe that I'm 28 years old, because people in their 20s will be 22 and look like they're 30, 38, or however old people look, because they have a face that when they hit 18, they started getting fillers, all this Botox, and they look crazy. They literally look crazy. Like, I don't know if you saw the whole thing about how the new women on Love Island are like 22, 23, 24, but they look like they're somebody's stepmom somewhere out there on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, because they just look so horrible because of the filler. Like,
Yeah, unfortunately, this craziness of having so much work done, and I think that
yeah.
is, and I can testify to that as well, because I don't smoke, I don't drink, I drink a
Mm-hmm,
lot of
mm-hmm,
water. I'm very
mm-hmm.
careful about my skincare routine, but you can look after yourself. Like, you again yourself, you're beautiful, and I think you can
Thank you.
look after your skin and look after who you
Yeah.
are. And unfortunately, I think Meghan is very much like that. But yeah, it is sad to see that this does happen.
What do you think will be the end result of the Meghan and Harry story? Do you think
Divorce.
they'll ever get to really? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I
Okay.
absolutely do. I think that, I don't believe they're together now. I actually think that they have a business arrangement now. I don't think they live
Mm-hmm,
together. They're too volatile to live together. There's no way
mm-hmm,
that relationship would be harmonious in any way. Harry's too immature, he's too volatile, and Meghan is a narcissist. It's just, you just wouldn't. If you're going to live with a narcissist, you've got to be someone that is very submissive. You have to be, to be able to put up with a narcissist, you have to be very submissive. Harry isn't. Yes, he's what we would call a beta male, but he's immature. He can be explosive. He has temper tantrums, so it just wouldn't work. So I believe they now have this kind of almost like an understanding of, they come together to do whatever it is that they do, and then he goes off to where he's staying, she goes off to where she's staying. But I truly do believe that when she finds whatever it is that she's now looking for, whoever will take her to whatever her next level is, that's when she'll divorce him.
Do you think, okay, like there was, remember when they went to Whistler in Canada and she was wearing those ridiculous leather gloves, and at that, where they had that, it wasn't ice skating, like the rink thing where she was wearing those leather
Yes,
gloves and that
yes.
tan, whatever, like she just looked really out of place. There was a certain picture where she she was not obviously getting attention from him because he was off with the playing with the other Invictus people or whatever. And then he came and Michael Bublé was talking to his wife or whatever, or whoever that was. And when Meghan and Harry got together in that picture, there's a specific picture where she's like holding on to his arm and he looks so mad.
Yeah, I
Like he
saw
looks
that.
so angry and he's like snarling. And she looks tense, like, oh, don't do this here. Like that sort of like, you just relax, like don't do this, you're not gonna do this right here sort of vibe to her face. And like I wish I was a fly on the wall. I wish that somebody who worked with them would actually come out publicly or something and just like the Sussex Survivor Squad. I wish that they would come out and just say we are former employees and this is what happened. I really just, because yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm so curious as to what it's really like behind the scenes with them,
But I
not
think
when.
that's exactly what it would be like. And I think that it's those little moments when she's not, because she's always got that grin on her face, hasn't she? We
Mhm,
always see it. No matter where she is, she seems to know there's a camera on her. But it's those moments when she forgets for a second that there's a camera there, and you see the real Harry, you see the real
mhm,
her.
mhm,
They're the moments when we see what their relationship is probably like. And he, I would probably imagine that he despises her. I would say that she's probably got zero respect for him, because if she loved him, she wouldn't be doing things to upstage him, like when it was the Diana Awards,
mhm,
revealing the Orchard Riviera. She wouldn't have done that because she would have known that was very important to her husband at the time. So she
mhm,
wouldn't have done anything to eclipse that. So it's those little things that she does that
mhm.
show you really how she doesn't like Harry, but they're in
As
it.
a person, as a person who's into like psychoanalysis and all that kind of stuff, where exactly do you think that love the honeymoon phase stopped, and where do you think that if there was, well, of course, if we see like the pictures where Megxit was happening, where they were doing the last Commonwealth things, and the picture where she's in the red dress and he's in the red uniform in the back of the car and she looks like she's snarling at
Mm.
wherever she, and he's just like in the back of the car, where exactly do you think the switch flipped and it went from, yeah, I love him, we're so great together, I'm gonna hit the ground running, to, in the Netflix where she's like, yeah, Harry, that's your brother, I don't know what to say, but that's your brother, that's how he acts. Like, where do you think the diva behavior came out and he started seeing these things and he started to see, okay, wow, like this isn't the same girl I was camping with in Botswana, because back then, of course, she was on her best behavior. Yeah, I love
Yes.
camping. Yeah, I love peeing in
Yeah.
the woods. I love eating weenies in the fire hut, like whatever. Like, where do you think the penny dropped and the mask came off? And what do you think his reaction was to all of that? And like, where do you think that stuff kind of started?
Well, I think he would have seen little snippets of it, but he would have been so probably in lust with her at the beginning, because it wasn't love. And unfortunately, lust and love can mirror very similar emotions. So he would
Mm-hmm.
probably, because she probably would have been swinging from the chandeliers, and he would have been loving that, I'd imagine. And I
Yeah,
think they obviously drank a lot together and did a lot of the other stuff together.
activities.
Careful what I
Yeah.
say. So I think in the beginning that was what it was. But I think leading up to when we saw that she made an appearance in Skip's wedding. So from what we know, he ended things with her. And so I think
Mhm.
that it was starting to bubble, and he was starting to see a sign with her, to the point where he ended things with her. And I think that something happened, and which is possibly where she somehow hooked him back in again. Now it could be sexually,
Mhm.
it's more than
Well,
likely, but
I
I
mean,
don't know.
according to, I think it was, I think it was in Finding Freedom where they wrote about Tom Inskip's wedding and talked about how there were photos on the balcony that the British, that the crown basically made sure that were never leaked. So there are allegations that something specific, something happened in Jamaica on the balcony where they, and the thing about it is, I mean, I don't know if he actually, like, I know people say that they broke up, right? But there was no press release of, oh, Meghan and Harry broke up,
Right.
right? But that's the story that we get from I guess the inside sources. And I mean, even in Skip and Harry don't even speak anymore. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where it's like, because Tom Bauer was never sued.
No. And neither is
Exactly.
Lady
So,
C. Lady C's never been
mhm,
sued. So I think
mhm,
anyone that's actually spoken out about them that seems a credible source,
mhm,
has never been sued. And as much as, yes,
mhm,
you're right, there hasn't been anything credible. But again, if you look at body language, if you look at the pictures
mhm.
that were coming out, you could absolutely see that these were not two people that looked very much in love, which,
No.
it's quite early on. So you'd think that they would still be in that honeymoon phase. So
Mhm,
it is very plausible that this was around the time where she was starting to show signs of the mask was slipping, because with a narcissist you
mhm.
can't sustain it for too long. So
No.
she would have been showing signs of this diva behavior, so she would have had to do something to secure him. And so obviously you've got to look at what a narcissist is capable of doing, and in all fairness they're capable of doing anything. If
Mhm,
they And so it could even be faking a pregnancy, I'm pregnant,
mhm, mhm,
etc. So it's very plausible that around that time, because if you also then look, the engagement happened not long after in the great scheme of things, and then the
mhm,
wedding again not long after the engagement. So
mhm,
it seemed to all happen quite quickly, and I think that
mhm,
that shows me that she was very keen to hook him. If you look at the wedding as well, Harry did not look like someone that was about to marry the love of his life. He really
mhm,
didn't. And
mhm.
so I think that
He
that
looked
wedding
at like
was
he had so
forced.
much anxiety.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He was anxious literally almost the whole way through, which is
Mhm,
unusual. And so I think that that wedding was almost like a forced wedding. I think that something, and it could be that she'd said that she was pregnant or whatever it is. I
mhm,
don't know. Um, I have a feeling that it's a connection to what is kind of gone on with regards to the real Archie. I think there's something that's been going on there. But I think
mhm,
we'll never know the truth, because I do feel that
mhm,
the royal family know, because they'd
mhm,
have to know by now. They'd have to know the
mhm,
truth. I mean, you can't really,
mhm,
it's one thing to fool the public, but you can't really fool the royal family for this length of time. So I think
mhm.
that they would have to know. And I think because of that, we'll never know the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it is very strange. But I mean, I hope that if they do have children, that at least the nannies that are raising the children are
Mm.
good people, and that if they are going to school of any sort, that they are somehow being socialized. Because I mean, there was a picture with a Zoom call. I think it was before Archetypes dropped, where Archie's sitting there with Doria, and he looks miserable. He just looks sad. The kid just looks sad, like
He
just
didn't look real
just
either. If you look at the photo, he looked like that looked AI. In all fairness, his face was very bizarre. But like, yeah, like you say, he just looked um like he was
depressed.
captured. Yeah, it was like he was forced to sit there, and
Yeah.
But again, it's all smoke and mirrors. I do absolutely believe that.
I never thought that I'd be known for being an ex Meghan Markle fan, but that's how destiny works, I guess.
But I think
But
it shows you're true to who you are. You're not just somebody that pretends to be somebody because it's running with what other people might think.
no,
You're true
I've
to
never been that
yourself.
person. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Okay, well, take care. Thank you so much. It
Okay,
means lots.
thank you
Take
for
care. Look
talking.
after yourself.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.
Bye bye.
So there you go, guys. That was me and to me. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you do not miss future uploads. I do have other interviews coming, and I have another interview that's going to be coming up in a couple of weeks with someone who I think is going to be a very interesting person to interview for the channel. So if you've enjoyed this, then like I say, don't forget to leave a like as you leave. If you want the links to my other channels, to the other platforms that I'm on, then please look in the description box below because you will find them there. But if you want to treat me to a cuppa, you can, the link is there. If you want to go onto my Amazon wish list, that is also there, along with my PO box. You can join up as a member. Whatever it is, there's lots of options to show that you support, but mainly if you can watch the video, like it, subscribe and share, that would be enough support for me. Thank you as always. So I hope you have a wonderful weekend, whatever you are doing, and I will see you in the next video next week. But as always, I love you, I appreciate you, but most of all, I respect you. Take care. Bye-bye.